Hey everyone, welcome back to Everwise English Podcast. I'm Mario, and I'm so happy you're here today. So, I was thinking this morning while I was having my coffee, that quiet moment before everything gets crazy. I was thinking about how we never really talk about our daily routines. And honestly, that's such an important conversation because every single day, we do things. We wake up, we get ready, we do stuff, and then we go to bed. But we never really talk about it in English. And I think that's a problem because talking about your day is like the most normal conversation you'll ever have.
Right. And I remember when I was first learning English, I thought I had to talk about big, important things, like politics or philosophy or something. But then someone asked me, "What did you do today?" And I froze. I literally froze because I didn't know how to say simple things like I brushed my teeth or I made breakfast. It was so embarrassing.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why today's episode is so important. We are going to teach you how to talk about your daily routine in a way that's natural, easy, and honestly, it's going to make you feel so much more confident in everyday conversations. Before we go deeper, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone asked you about your day, and you just didn't know what to say? Like you knew what you did, but you didn't know how to describe it in English?
Yeah, that's such a common thing. And here's the interesting part. Most people think they need this huge vocabulary to talk about their day. But actually, you need maybe 10 words and one simple pattern. And once you understand that pattern, boom, you can talk about your whole entire day.
Exactly. So we have this phrase that's going to change everything for you. We call it the routine pattern, and it sounds like this. I wake up, I have breakfast, I go to work, I come home. See? Super simple. You just list what you do. No fancy grammar. Just action, action, action. We're going to break this down completely today, and by the end of this episode, you're going to feel like talking about your day is the easiest thing in the world.
And you know what? It actually is. You just needed someone to show you how. That's what we are here for.
Exactly. So let's get into it. Okay. So here's where most English learners get stuck when they're trying to talk about their daily routine. They think too much. They overthink every single sentence. They try to use complicated grammar, or they try to make their day sound more interesting than it is. And then what happens? They freeze. Or they speak so slowly and carefully that it sounds robotic and not like a real person talking.
Oh my gosh, yes. I had a friend, let's call her Maria, and she would tell me about her day like she was reading a textbook. She'd say, I have woken up at the hour of 7. I have consumed a breakfast. And I was like, Maria, nobody talks like that. Not even native English speakers talk like that. And she was so frustrated because she was trying so hard to be correct, but she wasn't being natural.
Right. And the thing is, Maria's grammar was actually pretty good. But it didn't sound like a person. It sounded like a robot. And that's the real problem. The real problem isn't your grammar. The real problem is that you're translating in your head instead of just speaking naturally.
So how do we fix that?
We teach you the natural way that real people talk about their day. And here's the thing. It's way simpler than what you think. Real people don't say, I have consumed a breakfast. Real people say, I ate breakfast. Or even more casual, I grabbed some breakfast. See the difference?
Yeah, and the second one, I grabbed some breakfast, that sounds like how you actually talk with your friends.
Exactly. So we have two phrases that are going to help you stop overthinking and start speaking naturally. The first phrase is I start my day by. This is what you use when you want to talk about how you begin your morning. Like, you could say, I start my day by making coffee. supernatural, super easy.
And the second one?
The second one is then I. This is how you move from one activity to the next. So you say, I start my day by making coffee. Then I check my email. Then I get dressed. It's like you're telling a story, and native speakers use this all the time.
So it's not fancy, it's just real.
It's just real. Exactly. Once you understand that talking about your day doesn't require fancy words or perfect grammar, everything changes. You start to relax. You start to sound like yourself. And that's when people actually want to listen to you. Okay, so the first big thing you need to understand about talking about your daily routine is this. You need to understand the difference between a morning routine and the rest of your day. Because the morning is special. Everyone's morning is kind of the same, right? You wake up, you get ready, you leave. But how you do those things, that's different for everyone. And that's where your personality comes in.
So imagine you're talking to someone new at work, right? And they ask, what time do you wake up? And you just say, 7 o'clock. That's boring. That's a fact, not a conversation. But if you say, I usually wake up at 7, but honestly, I'm not a morning person, so I hit snooze like 3 times, now you're a person. Now they know you.
Exactly. So the way you talk about your routine isn't just about listing facts. It's about showing who you are. And the first phrase that helps you do this is I usually. This is the phrase that tells people about your typical routine. You say, I usually wake up at 7 or I usually have coffee first thing. This phrase tells people, this is what I do most days.
And why is that important?
Because life isn't the same every day. So if you just say, I wake up at 7, someone might think you always wake up at 7. But if you say, I usually wake up at 7, that tells them, on most days, this is what happens, but not always. It's more accurate, and it's more natural.
So what's the second phrase?
The second phrase is I have time to. This is what you use when you're talking about what you manage to do before you leave for work or before you do something else. Like, I have time to shower and get dressed, or I have time to make breakfast, but not much more. This phrase shows that you're busy, you're human, and you have to make choices about what you can do.
So it's realistic.
It's realistic. Exactly. Most people are rushed in the morning. You don't have time to do everything you want to do. So when you talk about your day, you should say things like, I wake up at 7. I usually have time to shower and make coffee, but I don't have time to eat breakfast, so I eat at work. Now you're painting a picture. You're not just listing facts.
And the third phrase?
The third phrase is after that, I. And this is how you talk about what happens next in your day. So you already covered your morning. Now what? After that, I go to work, or after that, I drive my kids to school. This phrase helps you connect your thoughts and move the story forward. So let me give you a quick example of how these 3 phrases work together. Imagine I'm talking about my morning. I say, I usually wake up at 7. I have time to shower and get dressed. Sometimes I have time for coffee, but not usually. After that, I drive to work, and I listen to a podcast. See what I did there? I told you about my morning. I showed you what I prioritize, I showed you my limitations, and I showed you what comes next. And I did it in like 30 seconds.
And it sounds natural.
It sounds natural because it sounds like a real person is actually talking to you, not a textbook.
Okay, so we've covered the morning. But here's what people miss. And this is actually the secret sauce. The way you talk about your work or school day is different from the way you talk about your morning. Because in the morning, you're doing things. You're getting ready. But during the day, you're doing things that matter to your life. You're working. You're learning. You're with people. And that requires different language.
Right. So it's not just about the words. It's about what you're actually expressing.
Exactly. When you're talking about your morning, you're just listing facts. But when you're talking about your work day or your school day, you're actually expressing how you feel about what you're doing. And that's a totally different thing.
So what's the phrase that helps us do that?
The phrase is I spend most of my day. This is what you use when you want to talk about the main part of your day. Not just what you do, but how much time it takes up. Like, I spend most of my day in meetings, or I spend most of my day teaching English. This phrase tells people what takes up most of your time and mental energy.
And that matters because it explains who you are.
Exactly. If you spend most of your day teaching, you're a teacher. If you spend most of your day cooking, you're a cook. It's that fundamental to your identity. So the second phrase that goes with this is during the day, I. This is for the smaller things you do while you're at work or at school. Like, during the day, I have meetings, I answer emails, I talk to customers. These are the details that make your job real.
And the fifth phrase?
The fifth phrase is I try to. And this is for the things you want to do, but might not always manage to do. Like, I try to take a lunch break, or I try to finish all my work before 5 o'clock. This phrase is so important because it shows that you're aware of what you want to do and what you actually do. They are not always the same.
So it's realistic again.
It's realistic. Because nobody actually does everything they plan to do. So when you say, I try to take a lunch break, but sometimes I'm too busy, you're being honest. And people respect that. They relate to that.
Let me give you an example. So imagine I'm a nurse. I could say, I work as a nurse. But that's boring and tells nobody anything. Instead, I could say, I spend most of my day at the hospital. During the day, I help patients, I check their medicine, I talk to doctors. I try to take a break in the afternoon, but honestly, it doesn't always happen. Now you know what my day is like. You know I am busy. You know I care about helping people. You know I struggle to take care of myself. You know me.
And you didn't use any fancy words.
I didn't use any fancy words. I just painted a picture with simple English. And that's what we are teaching you here. How to take your real life and describe it in a way that people actually want to listen to.
Let me give you a mini scene to show you how this works. So imagine we are sitting at a coffee shop, and I ask you about your day. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, how was your day?
Oh, you know, pretty normal. I spend most of my day in meetings, which is kind of exhausting. During the day, I also answer a lot of emails and I talk to my team about projects. I try to take a break in the afternoon, but today I was too busy. So I just work through lunch.
See what you just did? You told me about your job, you showed me how you feel about it, you showed me that you're busy, and you showed me that you're human. All in like 3 sentences.
And none of it was fancy.
None of it was fancy. Just real English.
All right, so we've covered the morning and the day. But here's the thing that ties everything together, and this is actually the most important part, the way you talk about what happens after work, in the evening, and before bed. Because that's when people really connect with you. That's when they see who you really are outside of work.
Yeah, because anyone can talk about their job. But what do you do when nobody's asking you to do anything? What do you choose to do with your free time? That's what people want to know.
Exactly. And I remember when I first realized this. I was talking to someone, and they asked me about my day. and I talked about my work, and it was fine. But then they asked, "But what do you like to do? What do you do for fun?" And I froze because I didn't know how to talk about that in English. And I realized the grammar for talking about fun is different from the grammar for talking about work. It feels more personal.
So how do we teach people to do that?
The first phrase is when I finish work, I. This is what you use when you want to talk about the transition from work to your personal time. Like, when I finish work, I'm usually tired, so I like to relax, or when I finish work, I pick up my kids from school. This phrase helps you show what that moment is like for you.
And the next one?
The next one is I like to. This is the phrase that opens up the real you. I like to watch TV, or I like to read, or I like to cook. This is simple, but it's powerful because it tells people what makes you happy. And when you talk about what makes you happy, people actually want to listen.
So it's personal.
It's personal. And that's the whole point. When we talk about our daily routine, we're not just talking about what we do. We are talking about who we are and what matters to us. So the third phrase in this section is in the evening, I. This is broader. This is for describing the general vibe of your evening. Like, in the evening, I usually cook dinner for my family, or in the evening, I'm pretty relaxed, so I watch movies or hang out with friends. This phrase lets you paint a picture of your whole evening in a few words.
And these three phrases together, they tell a whole story.
They tell a whole story. So let me give you a real example. I have a friend, let's call her Anna, and she told me about her evening like this. When I finish work, I'm tired, so I like to take a walk in the park to relax. In the evening, I usually cook dinner for my family, and we eat together and talk about our day. After dinner, I like to read before bed. And when she said that, I felt like I knew her. I knew she values family. I knew she takes care of herself. I knew she likes quiet time. She told me so much about herself just by talking about her evening routine.
And it was all simple English.
All simple English. And honestly, that's the beauty of talking about your daily routine. It's not complicated. It's just honest. So when you're describing your day to someone, remember that you're not just describing activities. You're describing yourself. And once you get that, everything becomes easier to say.
Because you're just being yourself.
You're just being yourself. In English. Okay, so I want to tell you about a real person. Let me call him David. And his story is going to show you exactly why everything we've been talking about actually matters. David came to me about 6 months ago, and he'd been learning English for about 3 years, but he told me something interesting. He said, I can read English. I can understand movies. But when someone asks me about my day, I just freeze. I don't know what to say. And I ask him why, and he said, because my day is boring. I wake up, I work, I come home. There's nothing interesting to say.
That's so sad, because that's not true.
Right. So I sat with him, and we did something really simple. I asked him to tell me about his day, and I told him to use the phrases we are teaching you today. And at first, he was resistant. He was like, my day is boring. There's nothing to say. But then I pushed him a little bit. I said, David, tell me what time you wake up. And he said, 7 in the morning, but I hit snooze like 3 times before I actually get up. And I said, that's interesting. Tell me about your work. And he said, I work in IT. I spend most of my day fixing computer problems for people. It's frustrating sometimes because people don't listen to my advice, but I try to help anyway.
Wait, that's actually interesting.
Right. So we kept going, and by the time he finished telling me about his whole day, I knew him. I knew he struggled with mornings. I knew his job was frustrating, but he cared about helping people. I knew that when he got home, he played video games to relax. I knew he ate dinner with his roommate and they talked about their days. I knew he went to bed around 10:30 because he wanted to sleep well. And he thought his day was boring, but it wasn't. His day was actually completely interesting because it was his day. It was real.
So what happened?
I told David, "Your day isn't boring. You're just not telling the story right." Then I realized the problem wasn't his English. It was that he didn't believe his life was interesting. So we practiced simple phrases, repeating them many times. After a few weeks, something happened. A coworker asked David about his day, and he didn't freeze. He said, "I usually wake up at 7, but I hit snooze a few times. I work in IT, so I spend most of my day fixing computer problems. It can be frustrating, but I try to help people." And the coworker actually looked interested and asked, "Do you like the job?" That's when David realized he can have real conversations. He doesn't need perfect English, just confidence to be himself.
That's beautiful, because he discovered that his life was interesting.
Exactly. And that's the whole lesson here. Your daily routine isn't boring. You just need to know how to talk about it in a way that shows who you really are. And once you do that, people actually want to listen to you. They want to get to know you. Because you're not a robot reciting facts. You're a real person living a real life and sharing it in English.
So the lesson is not talk about your routine. The lesson is let people know you through your routine.
That's exactly right. And that's why this matters. That's why learning to talk about your day in English is so important. Because it's not really about the day. It's about connection. It's about being yourself in a language that might not be your first language. Alright, so here's what we are going to do. I'm going to give you scenarios, and we are going to practice together. This is not about being perfect. This is just about getting comfortable with the language and the phrases. Sound good?
And remember, if you mess up or it doesn't sound perfect, that's totally normal. That's how learning works. So let's just have fun with it.
Okay, first scenario. Imagine you're at a coffee shop and a friend asks you, "How do you start your day?" What would you say?
So I'd probably say something like, I usually wake up at 7, and I start my day by making coffee and checking my phone. Really simple.
Perfect. And notice how she didn't say, "I have awoken at 7 o'clock and commenced my day by manufacturing a hot beverage." She just said it naturally. So try it. What's your answer to, "How do you start your day?"
If you said something like, I usually wake up and have breakfast, or I start my day by working out, you nailed it. You don't have to have the exact same answer as me. You just have to use the phrases we taught you.
Exactly. Second scenario. You're at work during lunch, and someone asks you, "What do you do during the day?" What do you say?
Okay, so I work as a teacher. I'd say, I spend most of my day with students. During the day, I teach lessons, I answer questions, I help students with their homework. I try to make my class fun, but it's also a lot of work.
And again, you're not using fancy words. You're just describing your day in a natural way.
Right? And notice how she said, I try to make my class fun, instead of I attempt to create an enjoyable classroom environment. One sounds like a person, the other sounds like a robot.
So your turn. You have a job, whatever it is. What do you do during the day? Try to say it out loud.
If you came up with something like, I spend most of my day in meetings and answering emails, or I spend most of my day helping customers, you're doing it right. You're painting a picture of your day.
Third scenario. You just finished work, and your partner asks you, "What did you do today?" This is the big one. Give us your full day. Morning, work, evening, everything.
Okay, I'll go first. I usually wake up at 7 and have coffee. Then I get dressed and drive to work. I spend most of my day in meetings and talking to clients. During the day, I try to eat lunch, but I'm usually busy. When I finish work, I'm tired, so I like to take a walk. In the evening, I cook dinner for my family, and we eat together. After that, I relax and watch some TV before bed.
Perfect. And you told me about your whole day in like 1 minute, using really simple English.
Exactly. Now you try. Give me your full day. Remember to use the phrases we talked about. Usually, I have time to, after that, I spend most of my day, during the day, I try to, when I finish, I like to, in the evening.
And don't worry about being perfect. Just speak naturally and use the phrases.
Fourth scenario. Quick call and response. I am going to give you a question, and you give me an answer. Ready?
Ready. Let me ask you, what time do you usually wake up?
I usually wake up at 6:30, but I don't like mornings, so I'm slow.
Nice. Okay, next one. What do you like to do in the evening?
I like to read and spend time with my family.
Great. And last one. What is the hardest part of your day?
Honestly, the hardest part is in the afternoon when I get tired. I try to drink coffee, but it doesn't always help.
Perfect. And you see how you just answered all those questions without overthinking? You just used simple phrases and spoke from your heart. That's it. That's all it is.
So now you try. I'm going to ask you some questions, and you just answer them however feels natural. What do you do when you first wake up?
See how easy that was? And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You won't even think about the phrases anymore. You'll just speak. Okay, so here's what we covered today. We talked about how to describe your morning routine using phrases like I usually and I have time to. We talked about how to describe your workday or school day using phrases like I spend most of my day and I try to. And we talked about how to describe your evening and your personal time using phrases like when I finish work, I and I like to. Together, these phrases give you everything you need to talk about your entire day in a way that's natural, authentic, and real.
And honestly, the biggest thing we've talked about today isn't any one phrase. It's that your daily routine is not boring. Your life is interesting. It's just a matter of learning how to express it in English. And once you do that, people will actually want to listen to you.
So here's your challenge for this week. Pick one moment in your day, doesn't matter which one. Morning, work, evening, doesn't matter. And practice describing it 3 times before we talk again. Could be in the shower, could be while you're walking, could be in a text to a friend. Just describe it 3 times. Notice how the words start to feel more natural. Notice how you're not translating anymore. You're just expressing yourself.
And if you mess up, if you can't remember the phrase or you say it weird, that's literally part of learning. That's the whole point. So embrace it. Be proud of it. Because you're building something really important here. You're building the ability to be yourself in English.
Here's what to do next. First, follow or subscribe to Everwise English Podcast so you don't miss the next episode. Next week we are talking about how to describe people you know, and trust me, it's going to blow your mind. Second, share this episode with someone you know who's learning English. They probably feel stuck just like David did, and knowing that other people are learning too, knowing that their life is actually interesting, that changes everything. Third, leave us a review or a rating. It takes like 30 seconds, and it helps other English learners find us. It seriously matters so much to us.
And I just want to say, the fact that you're here, listening to this podcast, spending time on your English, That makes you someone who's serious about growth. You should be proud of that. We are proud of you.
So go out there this week. Talk about your day. Be brave. Be yourself. Use those phrases. Tell people who you are. Let them see you. Because your story matters. Your life matters. And your English is going to get better and better every single day just by being yourself.
Thanks for hanging out with us today.
See you next week on Everwise English Podcast.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.